So we're talking about Melanazo, strong, make it count, finish the race. Tell me about that.
It's family. Our feet are under our table. People are welcome under our table, but what happens at our table stays at our table. Are you giving your best? It might not be the best. Give the best. Give your best at that moment in time. Finish the race. Finish the race. We have what's called carefrontation.
Carefrontation.
Hold each other capable, and we're going to share this with you because we care and said in love.
Well, how were you brought up?
Ready to fight.
Okay.
Yeah, we learned how to fight. There was no rules. There was no guardrails, no boundaries. That's where the first split came. And so it just all imploded. So I'm working on a book now. The fun and dysfunction of a family business.
The fun and dysfunction of the family business.
Hoping that I could help some families avoid the heartache. My family's.
So what do you do first? So let's say I'm part of your family. We want to start a business. What advice do you have as a first step?
Don't.
So how do you run your business differently than the family? So we're talking about Melanazo, strong,
Yep.
make it count, finish the race. Tell me about that.
We have a way of living in our family. Via Milanazzo, it means you're going to be Milanazzo strong together.
Strong
Right?
together.
Strong together.
So family.
It's family.
Okay.
Our family. Our feet are under our table. People are welcome under our table, but what happens at our table stays at our table.
Okay.
We don't. It's our table. We look out for each other, and we have what's called carefrontation.
Carefrontation.
So one I learned in a business group, and people want to say, I'm going to confront you about it, or I'm going to hold you accountable. We use hold each other capable, and we're going to share this with you because we care and it's said in love. So as long as we're saying something in love, even if it's harsh, even if it's not the best thing, that's where we are. That's our Milanazzo strong. That's our family ties.
So where did that, when did that start?
Growing up, a big family. My mom and dad always wanted us to be together, tight, strong. And we thought we were until adversity hit. And we were never able to share with each other openly and honestly because it was just people weren't given the skills and the tools to accept any type of criticism, critique, or I'm not with that. Just the dynamic said that we won't talk to each other for years or 2 years or however that went. And I was really determined with my family to say, yeah, it's okay. If you want to fight a Milanazzo, it doesn't matter if we've been talking, my brothers are that for 20 years, all of us will be there back to back. But that's not what we want. That's the easy part. It's the tough conversations like, you know what you just did was out of line for me. I didn't find it very well. And it was hard to negotiate and to work within that. So it just was, we were just brought up in a little bit differently. Not wrong, right? It just is. So I want my family to be different.
I think that's pretty common in every family is we don't learn those skills. And it somehow has to come from the outside. But I think it's extremely important because you could lose years and decades with family members and lose a lot of that experience and just lost years of just being together. So it's so at when you're growing up, you said it's just kind of like you weren't brought up that way. How were you brought up?
Ready to fight. It was just,
Okay.
Yeah, we learned how to fight really young. It was just, I don't want to call it dysfunction. It was everybody around us. It just, like you said, every family has it. It just wasn't what I would like to have seen back then. I guess I tried to create my family and what I had wanted to see. I don't have any regrets in how I was brought up, raised. I wouldn't change it for anything, but I felt there's got to be something a little bit different for me, and I wanted to do it differently with my family. That's all it was. It's nothing wrong with anybody. I just to each of them, I love them, and we all do our thing. But I wanted my family to be there, good, bad, and in between, because it's real easy to coalesce when you're against a foe or an enemy or somebody out on the outside. But it's when you have two brothers and two sisters, and everybody's picking sides instead of the people coming together, the siblings saying, "Hey, let's just look at this for reality. You have your truth, we all have our truth, but we have a common bond. Milanazo strong.
I love it.
Make it count. You give all you got. Make it count.
Leave it on the field. Leave it on the court.
Yep.
Just leave it there. Okay.
Finish the races from the Bible. I've been a good servant. I fought the good fight. I finished the race.
Finish the race. So
and that's what we have. It's written all over our house. There's anytime I do a post, it's there because that's what we live. We go back to that as some guiding principles. Are we being Milanazo strong here? Are we making this count? Are you giving your best? It might not be the best, but give the best. Give your best at that moment in time and finish the race. Just finish the race.
So that's kind of like a filter of how you live. So if
It's
it's
a lens
not
for us
in
to see.
line with that, then something's off.
Right. And we can go back to something. And after I'm gone is where I hope it works. I hope they can go back and say, this is what we were raised with. This was who we are. By all means, we have plenty of warts on my family. There's lots of, we're not perfect. We don't want to be perfect. But we have something to bring us back to, and I'm not saying it takes the place of the Bible. That's not what I'm saying. But these are quick rules to say this is how our family functions.
Wow.
And it's worked.
I love that. It's kind of like a mission statement.
It's a mission statement without making it corporate-y for the family. I tried that now. I tried to run my family like a business. And when I'm managing to expectations and to processes, it didn't work as well. I was completely out of line with that, right? I wasn't giving everybody a seat at the table.
I see.
Now, my house, there's a one main non-negotiable. My authority is never up for debate.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't tell my children or any of them no very often, but if it's that, they could ask me later, but at the moment in time, there's a reason that I've already processed, and that is not debatable at that time. Growing up, they could all say, hey, we'd want McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. Okay, we could talk about it. I have the means to do this, but if I came and I said no, then that's no.
It's the final answer.
It's the final answer. So,
is your wife on board with that?
100%.
Awesome.
100% Brooke is. 100%. Because her word there too. We believe there has to be a head. We believe there has to be some sort of person who's responsible for the ship. And as the ship's captain, I need to have at the end of the day, really everybody buying in to what I'm doing. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. I make mistakes. I'm willing to say I made a mistake. I'm more than anybody because I do a lot more than, anybody. Not in a bad, just, I do a lot. So I'm willing to make, the acknowledgement. I made a mistake. Let's work on it. I didn't live into this. I didn't live with this. And the kids will talk to me. Brooke will talk to me and say, hey, is that really, Dad? What's going on in your world?
So if they could even kind of feel that. So
yeah, they could sense it, and we could sense it amongst each other. Something's not right. Let's just stop and discuss.
So it's not a democracy. It's more of a
It's run like the Roman.
almost.
It's run almost like the Roman Legion.
Oh, okay.
The whole world Sicily. And
Yeah.
one of my friends says Frank's boys have a definite pecking order because there's Frankie, there's Cross, and there's Fabrizio, and we hunt together, we fish together, and people go with us, and they're like, and I believe in structure. Now they can all do their own. I let them manage their own affairs. You just do your best on there, But when we have something together, there's got to be some sort of process or order to it, or nobody knows what's happening, and we all get frustrated.
So you said it doesn't translate. Business doesn't translate to family, in that you run it the same. So how do you run your business differently than the family?
That's a good question because I haven't completely separated all of it because we were a family business for so long.
Oh, I see.
And we can get to that as we go down.
Yeah.
But if you question in business, you can say, give me your reason why you did that, or tell me how you were getting there. That doesn't always translate to when your child or your wife or spouse didn't get something done. Just because they didn't get it done, you don't have.
You're not coming from curiosity at that point.
Right. You don't have the standing really if you're giving them some some freedom and some autonomy to do their own thing and to grow. And in a business, you give them freedom and autonomy, but there still is a bottom line you're managing to. There still is other shareholders that you're trying to make. So you have some other obligations. We have an obligation to this client to get it done. Now I need to know where you are on these. And the kids, they didn't have a curfew, in high school.
Right.
Well, I'll take that back. Their curfew was Thornton. Whatever. The Thornton, if it was 10 o'clock, then you have to be home by 10.
Gotcha.
If it's 11, it's 11. As long as you're not causing yourself grief or us grief, we're going to trust you. We're going to hold you capable to make your best decisions until you show us otherwise, and then we'll talk. It comes down to cell phones. And I had this is a big discussion with a friend of mine the other day. They gave their child a cell phone as a gift. And then as a punishment, they took their child's cell phone away. And I'm like, so you just took a gift away from your child. You gave it to them as a gift. You didn't give it with strings attached. You said, here's your birthday gift. Now you tell me how you're going to get off the hook on that in their mind. You took away my gift. What else are you going to take away as a gift? You didn't tell them it was a privilege. I know you can use it as a privilege, but that's not how you presented it. So maybe when you give them a car, don't say it's their 16th birthday gift. Say this is part of the agreement that we're going to make. So we had a long discussion, my friend and I, because I didn't agree with it. I don't have to agree with it, but I just want to share. You gave a gift and you took it back.
Interesting. Yeah. I've been guilty of that. Yeah. Giving a gift, but then not setting the precedent of, or here are the rules attached to this gift.
And a gift should never have rules.
You got me. Yeah.
In my opinion. From where I come from, it shouldn't have rules.
It makes a lot of sense. No, it does. Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's where the business and the personal come off. You're getting paid. A bonus is attached to this. A bonus isn't a gift. You earned it. You never give. Here's that. If you give that gift, you never tell them about it again. But this is attached to it. I don't.
Gotcha.
A little bit of the differences.
I love that. Okay. So with your business, let's switch gears a little bit. You're in the communication space.
Technology.
Okay.
Everything you see in an office, phones, security cameras, IT computers, cabling in the walls. That's what we do.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought it was just limited to like communication. Okay.
So
wow.
Started back. Well, I got divorced when I was 22, was broke, had a son, and my oldest brother, he said, come with me at the phone business. I said, I don't know anything about the phone business. He said, I know a little bit. He says, you like people, you'll learn, you're a good learner. So I learned, we started, we couldn't put cheese on our hamburger. We shared a hot dog and bread. We didn't have any money. My dad had tools in the garage. And then as I started learning more, I went to the Italian community where we grew up and said, hey, and they said, we know you don't know anything, Frank, but we're going to give you jobs here. Because they all had businesses. We know your dad. We all go back. And then we got good and we could put cheese on our hamburger. And then my younger brother was there with us, my sister and other sisters. And it just grew, but there was no rules. There was no guardrails, no boundaries. And that's where the first split came in 2008.
Well, it was a tough time, tough economy.
Yeah, but that wasn't the reason. The economy wasn't.
I'm trying to give you it out there.
Yeah, no. It was because there was no guardrails. We didn't set up any guardrails. You have an older brother. He's the boss. At the end of the day, his word was law. 51% over Trump's. And even though you try to work through it, we just couldn't find it out. We had lost our dad in 1998, so we fought the good fight. So when we lost that part of the family, somebody who could keep everybody at least in check in his own way, and check's not a best word, but it was. Everybody knew that they still had to answer to dad. And we still have mom, but she wasn't as strong. Doesn't mean she didn't give her best and isn't the best. And she's my mom, and I love her to pieces, all 5 foot of her. Maybe 4'10" now.
On a good day, huh?
On a good day with shoes. But yeah, so it just all imploded, and then my younger brother and I went and we started Skybridge Communications. And we wanted to do a VoIP, voice over internet telephones. They were just going over to the IP instead of the regular traditional phones. And I knew where the world was going. And so did he. And I said, we got to move our business here. So we started there, and I went and asked people who I knew in the industry. We didn't take any of our clients. We left them all there, even though it was a bad breakup, and most contractors take clients or whatever. I took my network with me, the people that I could refer back and forth, but I didn't take the clients with me like most of them. My brother, my sister, you could stay there and do it go with God. I know what I can do. And we just started building it. Just started building. And then I seen where my oldest boy came and worked with us after college. But then I could see the same thing starting to happen between my brother and me and my son. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here. This is not healthy for us, Dominic, my brother Dominic. This isn't, we're going to end up in the same place that we just came from because we don't know anything different. What do we want to do? I could go do this. You could go do this. Whatever we want to do. If you want to stay in communication technology, then you could stay in technology and I'll go find something different. He said, well, I really like real estate. And his wife was there. I said, well, then, we'll cover you in the technology. Start doing what you're going to do. Get yourself to where you can run. And then when it's done, then I'll take the technology. And then it came to just Frankie and I, my oldest. And then a friend of mine called and said, hey, I got a great way to have you be your son's father instead of his boss. And the guy had watched Frankie grow up since he was a baby. I said, tell me about it. And he says, well, we're opening a position that Frankie would be perfect for. He was one of our suppliers that we were reselling. I said, tell me about it. And he said he can run his own division out, for the western part of the United States, blah, 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 blah. He'll be the first one in on the floor. Okay. So I talked to Frankie and I said, yeah, it's probably a good idea. You'll make a little bit more money and we can develop our relationship in a different way. I don't have to ask you, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? We could have dinner and we could talk to father and son. At first he was reluctant and he was scared because he only knew his dad really and how to work with. And he liked I could go on vacation and hunt 10 days out of the month.
Yeah, Dad, I'm going.
Yeah.
Bye. Yep.
You're going to see a charge on your card because the gas is going to be
This podcast is sponsored by Estrada Real Estate Group. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, we can help you. Text us at 303-832-2120. Now back to the Estradanary conversation.
So then he went there. It was a move. Then I just said, okay, now I'm a solopreneur. What do I do now? And the world moved to where my business is all residual now. When I say all, 95% of it. So when I put a phone in or a computer into somebody's office and we manage them, I get paid residually every month for it. So I build up my own annuity. Great business model. I don't tell anybody how to do it. And lots of people I've helped start in the business. In my exact business, I get them. So it just keeps building up every month. Every month. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Forces some laziness into me. And, the check shows up on the first. Yeah, sure. Which is where I'm at in today's world. And so that's where Skybridge is today. So if your office is open, if you're opening a new office, if you're moving your offices, you need all the cable in the walls, Cat 6, low voltage wiring. You'll need your cameras most likely. You'll need access points, wireless access points. You'll need your internet, and you'll need your phones. So we come in and we say, okay, it's going to take you all this. We get the right pieces in place, and then we make sure you're set, and then we watch it every day, every month, until you decide you don't like us anymore, which doesn't happen very often. Or you outgrow it. More often we'll get outgrown. When they get to about 500 people, we don't do well with them. We have just a couple of specific ones. Or when they close shop. Because you don't change your technology. And you said that with technology changing, it doesn't change like it once did.
Really?
No. Technology is more stable now than what it ever was. You might get new software that adds on to that, but every software you get has their own engineers that are going to tell you how to do it. Before, when you would add QuickBooks to your network, it might work on yours and not on that one and not on that one. Now the networks are really solid and stable. They figured out how it works.
How they talk to each other and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty of standards. So now we can share with you, it's not your network, it's your software, or it's your network. And when you go into the cloud, since everybody's using the same types of servers out there, especially in phones, if you're having a problem and the thousands of other people that are connected to that same node aren't having that problem, it's on your side of the wall. So we can...
You isolate it.
It's easier to isolate. Before it used to be, I don't know, try this, try that, Now it's real easy. It's a component or everybody in the country. You'll know when over the weekend, Microsoft 365 was down.
Right. I heard
it was
that.
Down.
Yeah.
So everybody's was down.
So you knew it was on their side.
Exactly. We knew who that was. Now, if you had called me and said, you were the only one calling me, I'd say, oh my goodness, what's going on here? We got a server problem, a connection. But because everybody was down. We knew that it wasn't on our side, but before we wouldn't know that because you don't have access to everybody's servers.
So it's much easier to troubleshoot.
Much easier to keep you working. It's easier to say,
hey, keep you up.
Yeah, uptime is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uptime is really important.
Yeah.
There's studies out there that when a business loses connectivity, how much money they lose. The bigger thing that people need to concern themselves about, and if you want somebody to talk to you about it on a podcast, is cybersecurity. That's real.
Really?
That's real.
What have you experienced?
Well, there's people that we have, clients that have had their data stolen and they had to give $50,000 in Bitcoin or they don't get their data back or their networks are down. We had one where their whole network was compromised, 72 computers. They had to rebuild 72 computers in a rush because nobody has 72 computers laying around. So they had to rebuild them because they didn't know where the problem was. And it happened during payroll.
Oh, so added stress. People aren't getting their check.
Right. So there's ways to mitigate that. And it's getting easier to mitigate, but you just have to do it. And it takes a little bit of money. And the right partner.
Well, I heard cybersecurity is like, it's so tough to get a job. I mean, so is it just companies don't hire that, or am I just wrong?
What do you mean?
Like I have some friends that are going into that space, and they're like, I like nobody's hiring for cybersecurity, but I hear it's a real issue. So it's like I'm just trying to figure out where the gap is.
Blue, red, purple, where they're at in the hierarchy.
I see.
And then the military. Every time somebody retires from the military, they've got some of the best training on that cyber world, and they go into private practice. So there's a big fight. There's a lot of entry level cyber, but where the money's made, where they promise you, you better know your stuff because the company who you're talking to is going to hold you to account. If you say we can prevent everything from happening, you'll never get breached. Well, that's not true. Like asking an attorney, can you be sued? Your attorney better say, of course you can be sued. Whether they win is different, but can you be sued? Sure. So, but if you want somebody to help you with the cybersecurity, Jason Blackus, he's the sharpest dude that I know on it. He's pretty darn good.
Wow. You hear about all these things on the news, but it's like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. And it does. So like, it's real. Wow.
It's real. This is just me talking. No data to back it up. Everybody's infected. It doesn't just happen right there. They just crawl till they find their way.
I see.
And they say, you're a big enough target. You're a big enough fish. You got enough money. I've snooped your bank account. I've snooped your accounts, your contacts, and you probably get spammed every day.
I feel like I do. Yeah.
Look on your email and then hit the reply, but don't reply and then highlight the name and you'll see it might say money here or whatever. And it says XYZ at RP2346. If you just click on the name, it'll tell you where it's going. And it's probably not Chase or Vectra or US Bank.
Right. Well, my industry, in the real estate industry, like wire fraud is like insane. They come in, they make the email look just like it's from a title company. It has your name, it has the address, and it looks legit. And people wire their money over and they lose it forever. They lose the house, they lose their down payment.
Sure.
I mean, it's a big mess.
It's horrible.
Yes.
It's horrible out there. So that's the biggest moving in technology, but everything else in technology is pretty static.
Okay.
Your iPhone, it might come up with the new feature today, but it's pretty darn static anymore. You don't have to relearn a new phone like you used to have to learn. Nokia, Samsung, Motorola, they were all a little bit differently on how they, or whatever that one was. Good Blueberry or whatever it was.
BlackBerry. Oh, the old BlackBerry. Yeah. I love that thing.
So now everything's standardized though. You get a Droid to an iPhone, they work the same.
It's about the same.
Up and down. And people say, well, I know the difference. Yeah, but you could pick up on either one of them.
Yeah, I just made that transition. My kids made me get an iPhone, and I went
I'm out of here. I'm a Droid.
Oh. I went to the dark side.
Yeah, the dark. I'm the only Droid. I liked it. I had one of the first Apples that were out, iPhones, and didn't have a removable battery, and they weren't good. And I'm always on my phone. I'm one of the power users even back then. I just drove from here to Colorado Springs to Vail, and I would just sit on my phone and talk to clients the whole way, or people. It didn't really matter. And they didn't have the removable battery. So
yeah, and then
so
it always did.
Yeah, and so I carried 4 batteries with me on the Droid, right? Because I never wanted to be without my phone, and the iPhone didn't have. Now none of them have, but the battery's better now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember this. this will date me, but do you remember the old StarTex?
Sure.
The flip phones?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you had to carry like 2 or 3 batteries because it was good, but if you're on the phone all the time, the juice would run out. So you'd have to stick another battery on top. But I love that phone.
Isn't it crazy? They were really big, and they went really tiny, and then they went to the phablet size, and now they pretty much standardized.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So it's all about the same size now.
Some are a little bit bigger, and I call them phablets, a phone and a tablet
Yep.
together. But other than that, yeah. So it's so that's technology. It's great. Been great for me. It's been a wonderful. I don't have any regrets. I've met so many good people. I've been in just about any industry you can ask me, and I've done it. I've made friends all over.
Do you see yourself pivoting to something else?
Well, what I want to do, I'm working on a book now. The Fun and Dysfunction of a Family Business.
The fun and dysfunction of a family business.
Because I'm hoping that I could help some families avoid the heartache that my family's endured because of a family business. I think it can be done. There just has to be some clear boundaries.
So what do you do first? So let's say I'm part of your family and we want to start a business. What advice do you have as a first step?
Don't.
Don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so
don't. And then if you're determined to do that, then let's just talk about setting clear rules and really coming serious. A position pays $100 an hour. It doesn't pay 120 and it doesn't pay 90 because your expenses are less or your expenses are more. And you follow the same rules that everybody else has said. Just as if you were going to hire somebody new, what would you have them do? And so that's just part of where it is. And plenty of agreements. What happens when you get married? Now you have somebody else in your ear. Well, now you have 3 kids. Oh, do they get to come into the business or do they get to come into the business? Does it support you? Does the revenue, does the business model type support the revenue that's going to take? Because now you got 3 siblings in there and now they all have spouses. Okay, so now you have 6. And then they have a kid each and now you have 9. Because everybody starts nesting.
mm-hmm.
They got to take care of their family first. So what I've encouraged my children to do, and I'm hoping, and I'm getting them started each on their own with this, when it's time for your business, if you want to work together, build a business that has its own profit and loss that will augment, or you can work with your siblings' business. So if you're going to grow flowers, then you get the plant or the planters, and you work together that way, and then you spread it out. You have to run a business as a profit center. Everything has to have its own P&L. Every department has to have its own profit and loss. But I really don't want my children having to navigate the relationship issues and making Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter a place that they're only talking about business because they're all together.
That's tough.
And you can't stop it.
That's tough.
It's real. Everybody says, we don't talk about it at the dinner table. Yeah, you don't. Sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
Sure,
it's your life.
It's your life. That's how everybody's eating. Everybody's around this table. And that's all you have to talk about with each other. You don't develop any other interests.
So how far along are you in the book?
I've got about 32 pages now, I think it is.
Okay. What's the first chapter?
I just shared with you.
Just make sure that this is what you want to do and understand that there's going to be conflict. And we're going to try to put something in place where we don't have to, where we go back to what does it say? What are the rules?
What are the rules?
What are the rules?
Another thing that I've said is in the book and part of the outline is make sure you have a third party who loves both you enough, doesn't like either one of you, but you can count on to shoot straight with you. Third party can be a family member. Maybe it's an accountant. Maybe it's the attorney. Maybe it's somebody else. But once you do that with your attorney, they can't represent you because now they have a conflict of interest on both sides. But somebody who...
Some type of mediator.
Yeah, cares enough about you but doesn't give a rip about your feelings.
Where
they don't care if
their
you're
number
crying.
one concern is the business.
Right.
And not the feelings. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
And you got to know how you're going to split up. If you're a salesperson and you're a technology person, how do you keep it where the technology or the person who's doing the heavy lifting doesn't think the salesperson is just skating because it doesn't look like they're working? And that happened in our first one because I was sales. So it looked like I was always at dinner. Like I was always going on this trip or this trip. Well, there's a reason that the business kept coming in because somebody had to do that. And there's a reason I was able to do that because they were back here doing this. And sometimes it's not reciprocated where there's an understanding. It's Brooke. I used to go to Vegas continually, and she thought it was all fun and games. Why do you go a day before and stay a day after? And I said, well, I broke my leg. I shattered, so I was in a wheelchair. I said, well, can you come with me on this trip? It's an important trip for me. I need to be there. Even though I'm on a wheelchair, we can get me a scooter or whatever, but come with me. I said, okay. So she was there the first day we get off, and we get into the room, we're set, and I get a call. Oh, yeah, we got to go meet such and such. So we go meet such and such, have a drink and a snack with them. Then we had to go dinner with another person. And she's getting tired by this time. Then 11 o'clock comes in, and somebody else texts or calls, I don't remember, and says, hey, we got to go do this. I need you here. So there I am, wheelchair and all, and she's with me. And then the next morning, we're on the deck at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, what? I said, yeah, there's things that are going on at 7 o'clock this morning. I need you to help me shower and get dressed. And I said, we're
This
out
is
till
work.
like 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, I realize this. I know,
Right.
I'm hearing you. And she did it for 2 days with me. And on the third day, she said, you can use your scooter. I'm tapping out. And you can do this whenever you want without me. Feel free. Now I know why you do this. But it always seems like everybody's excited about it. And at first it's fun. Oh, I'm eating all this. But then you're like, man, I just want to go home.
It's really work.
It's work.
Yeah.
Because you always have to be on your game.
Right.
You can't mail it in. And then I didn't eat fish. I wasn't a big sushi or a fish eater for many, many years. So I'd call Brooke after a meeting, 9:39. Hey, order me a pizza. Have a sandwich. You were just out at dinner. Yeah, but everybody I entertained wanted fish.
And you didn't eat?
I didn't eat. I wouldn't eat. So finally I went one time, my friend John, and he laughs about this. I do too. We go to Utah, and there's this place called Market Street. And it's the best crab legs ever. And I hadn't eaten crab legs.
In Utah? Oh,
amazing. And they
okay.
all were bragging about it. So I asked them, hey, can you bring me some buttered macaroni? I ordered buttered macaroni from the server, and then they brought crab legs and all these things. And so John whispered to them, I didn't know at the time, and said, don't bring him any. He's going to grow up and he's going to have to eat. And I was starving. We've been flying all day and working. So I cracked open a crab leg, and I said, I'm in Rome. I'm going to do like Rome. Start eating. This is pretty good. And I ate they were up to my elbows. And then the waiter comes laughing and says, hey, would you like your buttered macaroni? I'm so sorry, I forgot. No, I'm good with it. And then John let it out.
Oh, nice.
And then he started me on sushi, so I can eat sushi now. And for the first couple of years, I didn't know what I ordered because he was always order for me.
Yeah.
Because he knew I don't like the white fish. I don't like anything white. And he says, just in your head. And then I would text him, what kind of sushi do I like? Well, you like this roll and this roll and this roll. Because I would take him to, when I was here, I'd take him to Hannah Matsuri in Westminster over there on 120th because I knew everything there. He knew what I liked there. He's like, this is what you get, this is what you like, and this is what you order with it. And now I can order my own sushi.
Okay, good. You grew up a little bit.
I grew up, right? I put my big boy pants on. But yeah, so I was never taught those growing up.
Right.
Or, etiquette or what words. Shine your shoes in the front and the back and make sure and your top button's buttoned. And, so I learned all those stuff. But I tell you what, when it came to my kids, they were all in etiquette classes. They were sent to etiquette classes. They knew, and they've sat down with congressmen with me and, the governor, Senator Bennett they've been with, and, Senator Hickenlooper. They've had a chance to interact with all of them to see what some of the norms are.
Wow.
And I guess by my word, you could tell what side I sit politically. But so they had a chance. I don't say that to impress anybody.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure my children didn't have that challenge. They have their own challenges, and I let them struggle. But if there's something that you can give them just a little bit different to know how you eat your soup or, bread and drinks. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bread and drink. That's how you can tell when you're sitting down.
Ah.
A B and a D. Bread's on, this
Bread's
is your bread.
on the left and
Yeah.
drinks on the right.
That's how you'll know. Just go like this and you will know
That is cool.
when you're sitting at a table,
Okay.
right? You wouldn't know that, but you're sitting there. And because I had this flashback when I was my first wife, she was my high school girlfriend at the time. I had never left the house. We just always ate home. It was either macaroni of some sorts or green chili and tortillas. And I went to my girlfriend's house, and they have salad and black-eyed beans and all this, a pork chop, which is okay. But on the salad, they only had ranch dressing. And all we knew was oil and vinegar Italian dressing.
Right.
Black-eyed
what is
peas
this
or
gonna
whatever.
go in my salad?
I know what pinto beans are, but I don't know what that is, type of thing. I know what a pork chop is, but
You're like very picky and it just.
we just knew what we liked.
Right.
We just, because that's all we ate. We just
Right.
knew. To this day, I have a hard time eating macaroni anywhere because my mom developed my taste buds. I look for her saltiness or her flavors, and I guess that's everybody. But for me, I'm on that. But yeah, so I've I've done some different things along the way. I know it's rabbit trailing.
No, I love it because, well, I love the thing that you did with your kids is that you equip them to handle a lot of situations and do it in a manner that's respectful, and that knowledge, I think, and experience is invaluable.
They don't walk into a room feeling overmatched like I did. They don't walk into a room. Did
you feel like that?
All the time? Absolutely. We grew up so poor, we didn't have anything, right? So I'd buy a new car when I had my own money. I remember buying my first new truck. My dad said, "Oh, I won't use words. You're gonna need a new car every 3 years now." And he was right until I got to be about 30 years old. I always had that new car taste in my mouth because I was always trying to cover up for where we grew up poor. And it is what it is, right? Most people were poor. Everybody around us was. Yep. We didn't know we were poor until we got to high school, and I went to my girlfriend's house at the time, and I'm like, "You have a garage door opener? Oh my good, really? Oh, you have 4 bathrooms in this house and a basement with the pool table? Oh my, so yeah. I can, yeah. That is. So now the kids, it's a lot to change. They've sat in there with the governor. They've sat at the table with Congressman Nagoose. They've worked on campaigns. They've been given every opportunity to grow, just like their grades. I'm not a big grades guy. I don't care what your grades are if you've done your best, but there was no reason why any of my children, they all excelled, honor roll types of things, 4.0s, for them not to get good grades because they had every available thing. Their home life was fine. Mom and I weren't fighting the whole time. It wasn't like it was a pierce, it was pretty
There's no
stable.
Adversity that they had to overcome.
On that. So there's no reason for them not to have it. Doesn't mean that they didn't have other adversity, but you have all your study stuff, you have study time, you have your bedroom, you have quiet time. We make sure you have this. If you need a tutor, you just call on a tutor. Your tests are all there. So I wanted to set them up as best as I could without completely making them soft because I want them to get punched in the mouth. I still look for them to get punched in the mouth. I still like it when they get punched in the mouth. I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. Good for you. Let's see how you're going to bounce back. Now, Mama, no. Mama does.
She leads with her heart.
I'm like, you got to quit cutting their legs out from underneath them. Grandma, you too.
Grandma, too.
So I'm like, before it really counts for them.
So in the background, you're just like, yes, I love them seeing some adversity, seeing how they respond to it, see how they bounce back and learn from it.
Baseball was a good one for Cross. His older brother was a superstar baseball player. He was Mr. Baseball at Horizon, 4-year letterman, varsity, second baseman. He was all that. And then Cross wanted to play baseball, and he is much bigger than his brother, my oldest one. But Cross didn't put that effort in. So he was on the team. He's a good teammate. And his grandma's man, his mom, he's not playing, blah, blah. He hasn't put the work in as these other kids. Let him be. He's enjoying himself. He's in teamwork. Does he want to play? Yeah. But he also realizes those boys were out there every day for the last 10 years swinging that bat. And he didn't. He went to Disneyland. We went to Disneyland. We went on a cruise every year. We went on 2 other vacations. We chose to spend time in a different way than some of these other families did. So allow him to do this. Let him not put the pressure on himself from, like he did on his grades. And
did Cross realize that he didn't put in the work?
Yeah, he knew that.
Oh, he knew that. Okay.
He knew that. Yeah. When he said he was going out as a freshman, I'm like, give her heck, knock yourself out. And he made the team as a freshman. And he was down the bench. And for me, Frankie was never at the end of the bench, his older brother. He was always
starting.
He was Mr. Baseball here.
Wow.
Everything. So it was different for me. But I knew Cross hadn't put that type of work in to be there. And I know the coach extremely well at Horizon. After all these years, I've had my son, my nephews, my other nephews, everybody's went to baseball, then my other kids didn't Cross. And I was just like, he's just going to go out there and work. My friend is going to push his ass and make him work really hard. And he's going to run and he's going to get into shape and he's going to do all that. And, so he had some athletic skills. He's bigger than everybody. So, so he had fun in it. And Fabrizio chose the band route. And he was my left-hander. He was ambidextrous. So a dad who loves baseball and his son doesn't like it. So that was probably my biggest heartbreak.
Somebody that can hit from both sides of the plate and he doesn't play.
This kid is so gifted physically. The other day we were at the bowling alley up here main.
Oh,
main event, whatever it is.
Main event. I have a bowling league there.
Yeah. I keep threatening to join one, and so he doesn't like anybody taking his French fries. And his brother was there trying to take his French fries when he's bowling. He's holding his French fries and his hamburger in his hand, and he's bowling because he's left hand. Strike, and then the next time he's still holding strike. What is it called? A turkey?
Yeah, 3 strikes in a row.
3 strikes in a row.
Yep.
Well, he's holding his hamburger, keeping it from his
my.
brother. That's just how gifted he is from both. He can grab his, when they go golfing, if he needs a certain club, he'll grab his brother's right-handed clubs instead of his left-handed, and he hits it out. He outdrives both of his brothers. But he didn't like it. He got hit by a baseball when he was about 9 years old.
Oh, really?
And instead of me saying, let's figure it out, I said, get tough, blah, 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 blah. And he stunk and said, I don't like it. And he just didn't want to play anymore.
That was his sushi.
Yeah, that was just. But yeah, so he got it. But he did band, marching band all over the country, and he was a little volleyball player. So yeah, I couldn't be more pleased with my children.
Wow.
They're mine.
Wow.
They're not perfect. They're perfectly perfect for me. They have their sides that they can work on, and we share that, and they share with me, and they love their nieces. We have 3 granddaughters, and man, they just can't get enough of them. So fight for supremacy with them.
So did your older brother help cross, or what? How did he? What is
his older brother? Yeah. Well, that's a funny
work?
Story. Cross is smart. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you
he's
know,
very
he's
intelligent.
up and to the right
Yes.
in all of his tests. Frankie, we used to take our dog for a walk, and he's already a man. Frankie is, and we're walking, and I looked at him and I said, "You know what, Frankie? Why don't you help me with these kids? I don't have any pins underneath me anymore. My legs don't work. I used to throw thousands of baseballs to you, hit and run, and I could do all this with you. Now I could sure use some help, right? I could use some help." And he looked at me, and this is the first time he shared with me in a manly way. He said, "Dad, I'll tell you what, I'll help Cross if you promise me you'll back off." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Cross is going to be able to go to university because he's really smart. But he's also going to be big enough to get almost good enough in baseball to go play at a junior college." He said, "My son would not do, or your Cross will not be done service going to a junior college to play baseball.
What path do you want?"
So if you'll not put so much pressure on him for baseball, because I'd get Cross to play baseball. There's no doubt about it. That if you'll do that, if you'll promise me that you'll let my brother go to the college he wants, instead of pushing the baseball route, one of my mistakes, one of my blind spots, I'll help him more." And then he got Cross ready to play, but Cross didn't want to put that extra work in because it wasn't for him. Right?
Yeah.
Frankie had a tryout with I won't mention teams because I don't like this team, but there he went and played college baseball. He did all that, and when he was done with college baseball, he came to me and said, "Dad, when guys like Alex Rodriguez are having to do steroids to stay competitive, I don't have a chance." And he was right. There were 6'4" guys out of his school playing against a guy named Bryce Harper, and so they were all monsters, and he was all 5'7", 160 pounds with nails in his pocket. But he didn't want his brother to not go to university if he wanted to, because he was going to get caught up in the junior college. Nothing wrong with junior college, but if you're going for a math degree or whatever, it's probably not the best suited for you.
Right.
Nothing wrong one way or the other.
Did you agree with that at first?
At first, I had to swallow hard.
Yeah, it was tough for you.
It was tough. Yeah. Because then I started thinking, did I push my son there? And he said, "No, you didn't push me, Dad. I went my path." Frankie hated school.
Huh.
The coach used to say, "Frankie's in school to play baseball." Don't get it twisted. His dad's already taught him a different way. His dad thinks that we aren't the brightest, but he wants his son to be taught. And so Frankie just wasn't a big scholar. No, he got 28 on his ACT, so he knew everything, but he just didn't like homework. Because you have to pick a lane when you're doing that in athletics anymore. Some people get straight A's and they're athletically over here, but it just doesn't happen so much anymore. It's just really difficult with the schoolwork and what's demanded of sports. It's hard to do both. I'm not saying it can't be done.
Hard to be good at both.
Yeah, it's hard to be, and that's one of my things even about the CU football team. They're bragging, and this is just me personally, this is my soapbox. You're bragging about them with all these all-star grades that they have, when do they have time to get as good physically in their sport? Something doesn't math here. It doesn't jive.
Doesn't pass the smell test.
It just can't in today's world. And this is my opinion. My opinion. How do you work out for 3 hours a day, do 2 hours of homework, and attend 6 hours of class and sleep and get proper nutrition? Because that's what it takes.
Some would say there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
Or energy.
Or you just can't do all
You
that.
just can't do it. Yeah.
It's serving two masters.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's just so that's how my children were for their sports. So we're a sports family, but we're a family first. We weren't going to be a family that Brooke was here, I was here, and Grandma was there, and Grandpa. We weren't going to do that. Something had to give. So instead of telling the kids you had to sacrifice and just sit at home all summer long, we went on road trips all over the place. We just get in the car which is a funny one. This is a good story that I share. We go to Disneyland every year. I think if people follow, we were there just about every year. We were coming back from Lake Powell. We had a houseboat, and we were all out there, and the kids were little. And we're coming back, and we stopped in Grand Junction, I believe. And this is when I knew I had to make a change for something. Lake Powell's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work, especially if you're the boat captain. My brother and I were co-captain. It was our boat, so we had to fix everything when it broke. 73 feet of floating drunk fest for a week. If the air conditioner doesn't work, you're in trouble. So we come back, we stop, because I can't drive all the way that night. We stop in Grand Junction, I think it was, at a Motel 6. We're there. And my kids are jumping back and forth on the bed. Act like they're calling room service. So I said, the kids really like this road trip stuff. They want to stay in some hotels and all that. We got home on July 2nd, I think it was. July 5th, I went and bought a new Explorer with 3 rows. And I said, I can throw my kids. We can throw your mom and dad in the back if we need to, or my mom. And we're going to go to Disneyland in a week for Cross's birthday, July 14th. And Brooke's like, we don't have a plan. I said, we'll get hotels. We'll do this.
Figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll just start driving, stop in Vegas for 2 days. We could stay there. Your mom and dad will hate us because they don't think the grandkids should see any of that. But
it's
that's
not very
okay.
kid friendly, but yeah.
I could take them to all my dinner spots off the strip.
Oh, there you go.
and then we went to Disneyland. We didn't know at first. We didn't know you could stay near Disneyland, so we stayed at a Marriott. 15,
down the road,
18 miles away. No, it was far enough, right? We didn't know California. I had only been through there, and so I'm the driver coming home at 11 or 12 o'clock at night. Doing this, and everybody's in there drooling and all this.
Because Disneyland just kicked your butt.
They did. So then I said the next year, find a place next to it. Well, to stay on property with 7 people is expensive if you're going twice. So there's all the sister properties around Disneyland. So we'd stay there, and then we got it down. We're pretty good. You want a full day at Disneyland? Take my kids. They will get you on every ride.
Yeah.
The Disneyland attendants asked them one day to show them their itinerary or otherwise. She says, I've never seen anybody do more than that.
They're breaking records.
Oh, yeah. And when Frankie went with them, he went for the first time last year with them, with all the family. We took everybody and my granddaughters. He said, my siblings have this down. I was getting tired.
Yeah.
That's why I tap out and go back to the hotel. But so that's when I knew we bought the Explorer, and now it's Fabrizio's. But we drove all over, and that brought our family together. And we knew that if we weren't going to put them in sports throughout the year and have all that, why don't we do something different to be together? Because I don't begrudge anybody. I don't have a challenge with any of them. I'm not a big fan of all the travel sports and all that. I just think sports have been hijacked.
Much. Yeah.
They've been hijacked. They have, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and I'll have that debate, an intellectual debate with whoever wants to have that with me. I know you're going to give me your side, but I'm going to give you this side, and let's just see what makes sense. But we didn't want that to be our family because it was hijacked in our opinion. You want to just go play 12 games of baseball? I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. But a baseball game, 6 of them on a weekend, there's a reason the pros don't play more than 2 on a weekend.
Right.
Practicing in January, the pros don't start until March.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. They play 226 games. The pros play 150, and that's an Ironman. And I know it's at a higher level, but their bodies are higher. So it's just society could use a little bit pulling in for what I believe is important, because these kids get big in a hurry. And that's a big change for me. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Brooke got ready. Brooke went and got a job. When the kids got into high school, she went and got a job so she could stay busy. I did. And I said, oh, no, Oh no, I'm good. I got this. I got my friends and all that. You know, you can only drink so much beer.
Right.
And then I have my little granddaughter. I have Emmy, Octavia, now Serafina, who's going on 5 months. But my little granddaughter Octavia is with me all the time. So I thought I was going to have all this year with her to spend with it. So I was semi-retired. You know, I was just cruising, but spending all the time with her. And then they tell me beginning of August, oh, by the way, we put Octavia into pre-K. I won't use the words that I say.
So no one asked you what your opinion was. Yeah.
Didn't
so
ask
you
me
lost your friend.
I lost who I was going to hang out all this winter. So then I went back into work full time because I tried. I said, well, I can do this. And within a month, I was going crazy. I was at the gym for 5 hours. People were like, you want a job here, Frank? No, I'm okay. And then finally, one of the people who's there all the time says, Frank, are you okay? You look like something's deep on your mind. And I said, well, thanks for asking. I'm okay, but and I told her, soy triste, you know.
Yeah.
She said, what's that mean? I said, I'm just a little bit sad. And she said, well, tell me about it. You know, you're the one who's always the mayor here. You talk to everybody and you uplift, let us support you. And they leaned in and said, you're okay. Just start what you're doing. So I started making calls in my business world and, hey, Frank's back in business. And all my referral partners are like, hey, here you go. Start me out again. And so I pulled my head up and I'm doing a lot more now. And I feel like I'm in a better space emotionally because I have something to do.
Do you feel like it's hard to ask for help?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I don't do it well.
Wow.
That's my struggle. I'm quick, I believe, to give help, but to ask for help or receive help, I'm not a very good receiver. But I am working on that. I have a life coach and they help me. And I've been in a couple men's groups that were really strong. Just talk about it.
Right.
Just share who you are, be vulnerable on it.
You know, we hit our last podcast. I think we talked about that, right, buddy? We talked about vulnerability, and most people see that as a weakness, especially men, because you got to be strong and just say nothing affects you. But I think the strength comes from being more vulnerable than anything else.
Strong back, put your head down, and just go to work, and that's what we're taught.
Right.
So men struggle with this on how to work with it. We don't know how to, so we have to be taught. And I help some young men at the gym. I sit down and I coach them and walk them through and try to share some of what I've been through with their permission. They've asked me, hey, Frank, can you kind of share? Because you seem to be in a good place and happy and, fair and people talk to you. Young men, we have a crisis here with men and young men, I believe, as far as not having any place to really turn to. I was part of a group of 10 men and our coach, leader, Sean, whatever we want to call her, a woman. They had 10 men. Some of these people had those businesses for 20 million, 40 million. These were economically, I was on the low part from all these, but
pretty wealthy people.
Yeah,
right?
And
wow.
We just learned to share. We would get together once a month, and it's life. We do this thing. You can lie, and I learned it from there. You can lie, tell the truth, or pass. When you ask a question,
lie, tell the truth, or pass.
That's life, right? You don't have. You can either tell the truth, you can lie, or you can pass and just ignore it. And so we have in our family, when we go on vacation, we took our future daughter-in-law with us 2 years ago. But when we're at dinner or when we're on vacation, we take playing cards with us. But these playing cards are questions. So when's the last time you felt in your power? Would you want to know when you were going to die? Tell me when you had a victory. Some of your questions, these are just cards, and you get to speak what's on your mind. It's non-judgment. If I said, hey, Ruben, this is what I experienced with you today. I just wanted to let you know so the air's clear. It's not up to you to come up and start saying, well, what did you mean? What did you mean? What did you mean? Or to, answer back. It's just really all about accepting the gift as a gift. Frank gave you a gift. Now just accept it and you process it. Don't go try to get clarification. Don't, because not everything needs that type of clarification from somebody else. It's in your world, and wherever the heat is, focus on that.
Right. What did you get most out of those men's groups? Because I'm very curious about that. Because I've thought about either starting one or joining one. What did you get out of it? Are you still in it?
No, I needed a break.
Oh.
I went underground because
like, tap it out, right?
Yeah, I needed to get so much good stuff from it. You have to start working on yourself, really, and just do some deep thought meditation. Yes, right. And so what I got most out of it was I'm not the only one who screwed up, right? We all have challenges. We all face the same challenge, just a different name. We all want to be seen, heard. We all want to be able to take care of our family, do the best we can in some fashion. We're all seeking the same, and everybody's got something they're going on. The person you see is not the person they are. We don't know what's going on. So that's what I took away from that. You know, I still keep in contact with the man and the coach, and we all have a struggle. And I know that's used. That's a cliche. Everybody's going through something.
Right.
But it's real easy not to really think about that. It's really, really easy. You hear it all the time. People, I want to talk to your manager. And what do you think my manager is going to do? What do you think my manager is going to do? Going to fire me? Okay, do you really want me to lose my job and not be able to pay for my family because I'm having a bad day or whatever?
Right.
That's where your spirit is, instead of saying, I can see you're having a bad day. You're going to be all right with this, or let me try to make your day better. And too many people don't do that. And that's one of the things I really gained from my men's group is, man, we're all really struggling to truly, truly try to understand it. And then there's some of those little lie, past, tell the truth, and all those, some of those exercises,
and tricks there to help you get through. And I get that.
So if you could get involved in a men's group where you're similarly aligned, ours was faith neutral.
Okay,
It wasn't faith based at all. You could have your faith, but that's not what was discussed. We accepted you and we took you where you were. If you're Jewish, Muslim, atheist, Christian, Catholic. There was no judgment from us there, and we worked really hard on helping each other stay out of the judgment zone with each other because of it. You know, you don't need.
Did you see much of it with men? I mean, do you still? I mean, I guess
go to a church group and see what happens.
Good point.
Go to a church, and I'm not saying that in any negative. No, it's just a reality.
I get you.
You can get thumped over the head pretty quick. Bible thumped right on top of your head. You didn't read the scripture all the way through. I'm going to put instead of just, where's Frank at? Let me meet him where he is on this, and we can work through it together. Obviously, he needs something. So that's my biggest thing. I think that young men should develop a brotherhood. Buddy, if you're not around other men, learning from other men and not just your dad, you're doing yourself a disservice, because the boys all have other people who are in my life. And I've encouraged other adult, them to seek out other adult male leadership of where they want to be, or something that they can take from it, because I'm not the end all be all. I want them to have different walks, different ideas, different thoughts. I know I don't want them to go down, and maybe it's a person who's drunk on the bar stool. I don't want them drunk on a bar stool, but they may be able to glean something from that. But I think men don't do enough true brotherhood fellowship to just say, hey, and it's not about golfing, it's not about beer drinking, it's not about target practice, it's just men being men, just to get together and say, hey, I got you, bud. Call me. I'm here. I will answer my phone for you at any given time. In our men's group, if somebody was going through it, and it's got high confidentiality, but if I knew somebody was struggling, I don't answer the phone usually when I go home. Once I hit my block, my phone does not answer. My family has a special ring, but once I know where all my kids are, my phone's turned upside down.
Wow.
But I would put a special ring on if I had a buddy who was sad or he just was having some challenges. That would get through to me, because I would know if I hear that ring,
there's a problem.
It's a red alert for me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I protect my time and my space. But the men's group is good for every man to be part of. And if you're going to be in business, there's groups out there like the Alternative Board, Vistage, E&O, these professional groups that help you sort through your business ideals too, and way to flow it.
Okay.
Now, none of this is cheap. Right? There's a cost to time and money, but you come out the other side better.
Yeah. You had mentioned you were, I don't know if you were reluctant is the right word, but I think you had passed on some podcasts, been on some podcasts in the past. Why did you agree to be on this one?
because you're real. I heard a couple of them, and it's some of them are only business type. They want me just to talk about business. Tell me how the business works. I don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about people, tabletops, real issues, what I feel, how I feel about it. I could go on and on about my business, but I do that every day for a living. That's not fun.
8 hours a day. I do
That's not fun, right? I'm not here trying to plug Have you heard my company's name yet?
Nope.
I'm not here trying to plug my business. Do I always want to earn extra bit? Sure, who doesn't, in the business world.
Right.
But me, I just want to start, if I could, some sort of a movement where people just can talk and share and say, this is my story. The kids bought me something. It was a book for Christmas, and it says, tell me your story, Papa.
That's awesome.
So I'm filling it out every couple of days, another page or two. And they have them in video, but I wanted to write. And they even got me my own special pencil. Because I like pencils.
Wow.
I'm a pencil guy.
I love pencils too. Yeah.
But the kids wonder, why are you so picky?
Because you can erase.
Yeah. When we were growing up, number 2 pencil was like gold. I'm 56.
Yes.
So a number 2 pencil was like gold. And then if you had the wooden one instead of the rubbery ones, that was even better.
Yep.
So now I see them throwing on the floor, and I'm just like, what happened when we were? Yeah, we used it to this much, the eraser and the pencil.
And then you stick one of those big ones that you can put on top, the pink one.
Yep. Yeah. So I like pencil. I really do like pencil. I have pens. I have my cross pens, every type of fancy one that you can imagine that just sits there. Give me a pencil every day, and I'm an everyday. So in the world of where I've been, I was in a slacks and a jacket and a tie most days, right? And then my best friend is like my brother, Anthony Spano. I don't know if you know Spano Farms, 58.
It sounds familiar. Yes.
It's like as close to be the brother as you can be, but they have a farm, and they do farm to table dinners all summer. So I brought all the guys from these groups have only seen me in suits and ties from business, and they see me in shorts and a T-shirt and drinking wine out of a mason jar in a farmhouse. I said, this is really neat. This is me. And they're like, whew.
It was a relief for them. Like, yeah, this guy can chill out a little bit.
Yeah. And it just, so yeah, I highly encourage, if you ever want something to do, go on your Facebook and look up Spano Farm, Spano Produce.
I will.
And if you put that out there.
SPANO.
Yep.
Farms.
They have the farm to table dinner. They have the garden center for all your flowers and your plants, but the sisters still cook. The Sicilian sisters still cook everything from scratch.
Ooh.
And
no carbs though.
We love carbs.
That's what I was gonna say.
So they're just good people. Everybody else around them is sold. They've kept the farm.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they've kept our heritage going. But yeah, so people got to see me in a different light because I was vulnerable.
Yeah.
I was vulnerable.
Right.
I'm a mutt like everybody else. I come from this, and the more I grow, the less tolerant I am of people. But I don't have to be tolerant because I'm not judgmental. I'm just like, nah, okay, if you want to believe that's red, then please believe it's red, because that's your truth in this, and it's red. I can tell you it's black, but if you think it's red, who am I to tell you it's not? It's not my place to correct anybody. It's just that's another thing we do in our family. I do, especially with my kids. I'm pretty good about this. I'll ask them when they want to talk to me, is this where you want dad advice, or do you want me to listen? You need to tell me what role I'm playing here.
We have something similar with my wife and I. We say, do you want me to fill this, or do you want me to fix it?
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
And then one of the things we did with our children was we practiced, and with our wife, we still practice, Brooke and I, all of us do, connect before you direct.
Connect? What does that mean?
Buddy, did you ever wake up or get out of school and your dad or your mom would say, buddy, you got homework to do. You got to get here. You got to brush your teeth. You got to eat breakfast. Get your clothes on. Did you do this? Did that ever happen to you?
Maybe once.
Maybe once. So they didn't connect with you. They brought you into a space, and you were immediately put in fight or flight. And then you have to go off to school with 12, 15, 20, 30 different things that you weren't prepared. Your brain wasn't even functioning, wasn't even awake yet. You're leaving the house with all those things going off to school. Fathers, don't exasperate your sons. And so we really, and we fail sometime, but we try to bring each other into the room. Good morning. And just stop at that. Not like how are you? It's nothing for anybody to answer. Then you come in, and we all know we have our balance and our equilibrium, and it's just we connect before we direct. And
That's hard to do.
Absolutely,
Because you have to be aware of it first. Yeah.
And we'll put our hands up and say, wait, stop. Just let me come into this space. And we still get ahead of ourselves because I might be up an hour earlier or an hour later or however it works. It just, so we still have to be conscious and keep each other aware that connect before you direct. Just connect. And that's with anybody. Hey, good morning, Ruben. Hey, Ruben, did you get this done for me?
It's different.
2 different things.
Feels a lot different.
Yeah. There's a video out there where men fell with their women. It's the woman has a nail in her head.
I haven't seen this one.
The woman saying, I got a headache right here. And the husband's like, yeah, I know. You got a nail in your head. No, it's right here. I can pull it out. I can fix it for you. And all she wanted to do was be her. Just stop. Like you're saying, do you want me to feel it or do you want me to fix it? Right? It's a woman with a nail in her head. And it's a great video that brings us back to the connect before we direct on it. And
I'll have to listen to that one.
Yeah, we try to do those to keep our family from getting angry, and we fight. Sometimes harsh words are said, and
sure,
it's unfortunate when they are, but we don't let each other dwell there. We don't hold it over each other and say, ah. We don't do that. We're pretty good about that now. No, in the beginning we weren't. We were young, and this comes with maturity, and we keep our own counsel. Nothing, like I said, everything at the beginning. Our table stays at our table. We have our daughter-in-law, and it was with her from the beginning. What's said at our table stays at our table. You're welcome to be here with us because you're going to be part of the family, but this is my rules in my house. And it's been great. She's a wonderful young lady. I can't say enough about her. She's a wonderful, and my daughter-in-law who's married to my son, Frankie, Grace, she's wonderful. We have a good core. A good core, and we just keep looking forward to growing it. And
wow,
we have a big tent for people. We try to help.
Yeah. So do you feel like your circle is getting smaller as you get older?
My circle definitely did get smaller. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're like building walls, and you're like, hey,
I don't know if they're walls, but they're definitely windows for you to see in and for us to see out.
We can't come in, but you can watch.
Yeah, we can talk, maybe, but there was a time I had. It's a different podcast for you. It's one that's completely different.
Part 2.
The early years. But, there'd be 12 guys at the house, just everybody was sitting there and everything you see on the TV shows. And it was a bunch of, everybody having a good time, barbecues and all that. Not that was bad, but just everybody grows up and they start doing their own thing. But yeah, I really I'm okay with more peace in my life now. I don't have to be 100 switched on. There's nowhere for me to be or my family to be, and that's okay. I have my circle of men, my friends, my people who I can count on. My first one is my younger brother Dominic, my best friend in the world. But there's outside people that we can just share with and say, hey, this is where I'm at. Brooke has her group. We don't, for our family, Brooke and I don't vacation separately. I won't tell her I'm going for a long week to go hang out with the guys in Vegas. She won't tell me she's going with the girls to Vegas and all that. It's not a lack of trust. It's just a mutual respect we have for each other, and we keep it like that. And it's worked for us. It's really, really worked well. We kept ourselves there. And same way with our children. I say, you need to find what works for you. And be true to what works, but agree with it, work on it, grow with it. And So,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you? I recently just connected with some childhood buddies. Do you stay in contact with any of them? What's your longest friendship
that you
still stay in contact with?
56 now.
Still like
13, going on 45 years.
Wow.
2 of them, my buddy Bondo and my buddy Jolie.
They grew up in the neighborhood with you and went to school together. And
you'll see a picture of us twice a year for sure.
Okay.
Christmas, and you'll see one for maybe opening day or right after that. Where buddies, I'm the little guy in the middle of 2 big old monsters.
Okay.
My wife laughs. She's like, "You guys are where I grew up. in elementary, our elementary, like 8 of us went to this junior high, and the rest of our elementary from Head Start went to another junior high.
Oh,
Rivals.
got split.
Yeah, because of busing
Oh.
and changed boundaries. I wanted to go with all my friends over to Hotchkiss Junior High. It was on the west side of Federal, and that side of Goat Hill, but we were on this side of Goat Hill, so I went to Scott Carpenter. Took my sister, my Catholic twin, and 5 or 6 other people, and we separated, you know. But since I had grown up with these people from Head Start, this is from Head Start, so for the first 8 years of our lives, we were together. I was able to bridge the gap between both of them. You know, when I was at Random High School and they were at Westview High School, I could go either side of the tracks, and I had enough friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have to worry about that. I had enough friends. My random friends, my West, even to this day, it's like, hey, we grew up together. We came back from our cruise this year, and 1 o'clock in the morning, we're all waiting in line for our Ubers, and my best little buddy Louie was there. Hey, Frank, and my wife's like, you guys just act like you haven't missed a beat or whatever. Like, because we were, you know, we were all poor together. We all did the same things, shared the same tacos or Twinkies. My dad was a Wonder Bread guy, so we always had. I was selling those through out elementary and junior high. Dad cinnamon toothpicks, and you name it. I was an entrepreneur. But so we were able to do that. So when you say that, my wife will tell you, Frank's got his friends. I had a fifth wheel, and I didn't have a truck. They dropped it off at my house, and I didn't have a truck to take it. And I knew if it stayed there for 3 days, I was going to get a ticket.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I called up my friend. I said, hey, Toby, can you come up? And Brooke had only met him a couple times. And this is probably 10 years ago. And this is my buddy from Head Start. Different high school. We stayed. I need someone to come and move this for me. So I'll be up there, Frank. Give me an hour. He comes, puts up, he says, Anthony's storage yard is full, my buddy Anthony's.
Oh.
I'll put up my storage yard. And when Anthony's freed, I'll take it over to his for you. Don't worry about it. And Brooke's like
who does this?
Right.
Yeah,
People don't do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just say that because when you ask if I stay in contact with people, I do my best to, and I don't cheat anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I'm going to do the best I can for you. And if you call me and I can help you, I'm definitely going to stretch and do everything I can to make it. I try not to make a promise that I can't keep, and I'll never make a promise with my finger crossed behind my back.
Mm.
And that's just all I have is my name.
Yeah.
All I have is my name. And, just like when you get married, you give your wife your name. That's all I had to give Brooke. Forget the business and everything. I had my name, and I'm giving you the thing that means the most to me is my name.
Wow.
My dad had us keep it best we can, work, make mistakes, and be accountable.
Wow.
But yeah, so I do keep in contact with my friends. I do really well. We don't have to go out and drink beer. We don't have to go.
Right.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just get together and just say, hey, what's happening? What's going on? And it's a phone call, text. We have our text group, but
yeah, I love that. Yeah. So
Did you grow up here?
What's that?
Did you grow up here in town?
Pretty much. My mom moved us out here from the Bay Area, California, and when I was 8. So this is.
So you grew up where did you go to school?
Louisville.
So you're
yeah,
Centaurus or?
Yep. Graduated from Centaurus. Yep.
Sure.
But I had the opposite happen where we had the two towns, Louisville and Lafayette, come together into one high school instead of getting split. Sure. So that was interesting.
So now we did that in high school. We had this junior highs and this junior highs, and that was fun for the first couple of weeks. I was telling the kids, they used to give us free physicals. Before school started, you go, Dr. Archer is $5. But everybody who's going to do a sport, everybody show up as a 10th grader and
assembly line. And
yeah, that's what it was. But you had this junior high and this junior high.
Oh, separate.
Yeah, but they didn't stay separate. Then the fisticuffs start. It starts separating who's the ones who like to fight. We've heard about you because we played football, and then we all came together. Our class was really small. We had a death like the first 2 weeks into our sophomore class, which was high school at the time, and our class got really, really tight.
Oh, I see.
Through it,
okay. Was it like a tragic death?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was somebody who drank too much.
Oh, sophomore year?
And he was on his back. So, yeah.
Alcohol poisoning? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was horrible,
Yikes.
right? You start your year, and then we had a couple more throughout it. And it was small as it was. So there was many a times, up until probably 5 years ago, we'd get together every year, a class reunion, and everybody just get together.
Yeah.
If you can make it, you can make it. If not, our friend owned what was the bar over there on 76 and 36 and Highway 36 and 76. Can't remember, it was Bobby's place, and everybody would just go there. His childhood friend, and he had the local bar, and everybody just go there and drink beer and support our friend.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
I've seen my share of fun things, bad things. I watched the whole neighborhood grow up. I watched Denver go from just John Elway to an international airport, and all the restaurants that I knew no longer. It changed.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is, and you just go with it. My father-in-law was city streets guy for his whole career, and he's been retired now 21 years. So I take him downtown so he can see the streets that weren't there.
Right.
Funny story about my father-in-law. Wonderful. He's a great guy. Very handy. Very, very. I had got this project, and it paid prevailing wages, which means you're paying union scale. And I'm not union, so it was $42 an hour to put the wiring in the walls. My father-in-law could do it, but I didn't want him on ladders. Or to put media boxes in a wall where all the wires come into, so they could put all. You've seen them in the houses.
Yeah.
And we were doing a project down off South Street. My father-in-law, when he was doing the streets, that was a bad area.
Oh.
And then he comes to me and says, "Frank, I don't know what's going on down here, but these white girls were walking down in this area. I'm not sure they
Are we in the right area?"
And I said, "Okay, Pops, it's different now. It's all different." But he was concerned because there was a time you didn't do that.
Yeah, that's what he knew.
Yeah. We didn't call it Highlands, right? We called it the North Side.
North Side. Yep.
You went down there to fight or a gun. That you didn't go down there by yourself because you were going to get in a fight. If somebody's going to beat you up, you're in the wrong place.
Right.
And now people call it Rhino and Taxi District and Ojai, Highlands. And really?
And you got $1 million,
Scrape offs.
Yeah, scrape offs. Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah. So,
well, Random was not like, at least I knew Random was like a fighting school. Like,
it wasn't until we left. I'm not saying that as a braggart about us, but when they started allowing kids to bus, the 31 would come down from North High School. So kids who were at a DPS, 31 would move them. They could go to Random because the bus 31 RTD ran straight up Federal.
Okay,
So
that's how
there,
that came about.
They
Okay.
tried, and they just started. It was more of an open enrollment because enrollment had died. There was older people there, and they kept moving northern sprawl. Our principal was a man named Don Rhoda. He was a 6'5" Marine.
Oh,
You didn't mess with him. I watched him drag people down by their shirt, bouncing their head off of every locker. And Mr. Schumacher was the dean of students, and he was just as big, just a little bit bigger belly. And these were two, especially when you're 5 foot like I was.
Yeah, they're giants.
And, they'd be giants. They're just big men, right? You didn't monk around with them. They were just. It wasn't like today, where we didn't.
They didn't tolerate the
nonsense.
nonsense.
And we didn't know what a woman principal was. I'm not saying anything about it,
Right.
but I never had a woman principal. From junior high to elementary to high school, it was always a man. It was
Mr. Somebody.
It was Mr. Somebody, them, and they looked like they were, at the 100-yard stare, and so you just didn't mess around because you get popped in the mouth, Mr. Ratliff was a big guy in elementary. He had a paddle, and it was. Caught us throwing snowballs one day, and we caught it. And,
did they spank you back then?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
There was a big old whooping stick there. And Mr. Ratliff, I still remember getting swatted there. I was more worried to tell my dad than, the paddle,
Because you get it twice,
Get it twice.
Yeah.
And that was just out of respect, right? My dad was like, don't disrespect. And could my dad have probably made a call to the superintendent who was his cousin? Sure, he could have, but my dad's like, not happening, I'll tell you a story, then we can wrap it up. So I was ninth grade, and so to set the stage, I had friends. We were little hellions type of thing. I had one friend press the math teacher over his head, and the math teacher says, "Put me down, please."
Was this a big friend? That?
Ape, Eric. Yeah, he was. Eric was a monster. If you ever looked at my friends, you'll say Frank always had very large human beings around him. Very large. They were.
He lifts your math teacher.
Yeah, he wasn't big, but he was probably buddy size frame. Maybe a little bit short. But I still remember his name, Mr. Tomlinson. And then he was one of my other friends, Shane, couldn't get the assignment right on the board, and Mr. Tomlinson must have said something that didn't set well with Shane, so he turned through and hit him in the head with an eraser.
Oh.
And neither of these guys got in trouble. Right? Mr. Thomason was just mellow, didn't want to get him in trouble, whatever. So myself and Paul, we were in the school play. We were doing the Montagues and the Capulets, Romeo and Juliet.
Yep.
We start sword fighting in class, And he says, Frank, I think you need to leave this class and go down to the principal's office. Okay. Why don't they have to? They beat you up. I didn't do you anything.
You're like, what is going on here?
And like an idiot, I said, well, I hope you like walking home because I'm going to blow up your truck. This is back in 1983, so it's not today's birthday.
Right, yeah, it's not,
So nobody
doesn't mean the
freaking
same
thinks.
thing, right?
Yeah, now, shit.
Yeah.
Back then it did too, though. So I'm sitting in the room. Dr. Spinney was his name. You're going to call your mom. Nobody's home. I'm not taking this serious. Call her again. He says, Frank, we really need to get a hold of your mom or your dad. The cops were there. Mom, can you and Dad come home? Come here? Come to the school? And I can remember saying this. I was scared at that point. The cops were there.
Like, what's
they were
going
talking
on?
about expulsion and arrest and holy mackerel. So we all get around the table, my dad, my mom, and principals, and the cops weren't there anymore. But they're talking expulsion. And my dad's talking, and my dad was pretty darn smart, pretty keen. And he's like, after we leave, there's one reason that they took your threat serious.
Oh.
And he said, it's because of your last name. You have to think differently if you're an Italian and you say something stupid like that.
Oh.
Right? And I know that people say, but immediately, what's one of the first things most people think of when they hear an Italian last name?
Yeah. Like
that's what they did.
mafia
Sure. So, but anyway, at the table, my dad's talking with them, blah, 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 blah. And I have a C in math because I'm good with math. But I have a C. My dad knew I wasn't trying my best, but he didn't know why. And he says, well, what does my son need to do to stay in school? What does he have to do? And Mr. Tomlinson says, well, I really don't want Frank out of school. He's not a bad kid. But in order to be in school, he needs to make up all of his assignments. Now, this is cold. It's already January, so the whole year. And it's starting to get cold January, February. And my dad said, no problem. Didn't think, yeah, he'll be here. What time do you get here at school? And the teacher said 7 o'clock. Okay, school started at 7:40. And my dad said, okay, he'll make them up. And the teacher said, well, he has to make up all his homework. I guarantee you he'll make up all his homework. And he says, he hasn't turned in a homework assignment since the beginning of the year.
Oh.
Well, how does he have a C? Because he's doing extra credit. He's doing enough to get by. So my dad said, no problem. He'll be here. And there's a big hill when you go up from, I lived on 64th. You had to go up Pecos, which is a big hill, heading north to 70th. So I had to ride my bike. We didn't have gloves. My dad made my ass ride my bike every morning to school. So I looked dorky. I'm all sweaty. I get there. And I was doing it. And then one day it was really, really, really cold. And, my dad would be coming home from work when I was going. He didn't see me on the road when he was coming home, but he saw our neighbor's car going in the trunk going like this. He flipped around, drove in front of our neighbor, cut him off, and looked aside and saw me because my neighbor was taking pity on me.
Oh. And he was going to drive you to school?
Yeah, with the bike, Oh my God, my dad let him have it.
Oh.
Through my ass. You get your, to teach me a lesson.
Yeah.
It was all about, I'm going to teach my son, you were dumb enough to open your big mouth.
Right. You're going to ride this out to your
right,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was where, when you say some of the Roman Legion.
Right.
That was my dad, and he wasn't afraid of tough love. He loved me to pieces till the day he died. I know he did. But it was just tough love, and we go through some of that at our house.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I've got a pretty fun history that some people like to get me a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah.
I could tell them all the fun things, and I could show them where I learned how to throw dice and
gambling.
Sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't apologize for my life. I enjoyed my life. I enjoy my family. I've had a great life. If I could give back to people, I want to do that the best way I can. If I could put a smile at the gym, if I can leave a couple people with a smile at the end of the day,
It's a win.
Yeah, my gym's on 120th and Federal. It's a Highland Hills Fitness Center. It was Fitness Mountain.
Yeah.
They have a locker. I pay for a locker every month.
Yep.
They do my laundry. All my gym clothes is always done.
I
My
might have
fresh
to
towel.
switch.
Yeah. It's so it's just like so all in it's $50 a month. But that's my membership. That's my locker. That's everything there for me, and it works. It's like a little starting place. You'll find me there every morning.
Wow.
You won't get me going any place before 9:30 unless it's really important.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to fight the traffic on the interstate. I just believe I've grown up. I'm not in that world anymore. I don't know how anybody does it.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to them. But now I know why.
Because they have to.
Because they have to. Now, about 3 years ago, I went to an event of a group of people. I had started a group of some other individuals in 2008, to bring business leaders together as Colorado Thought Leaders Forum. And they were having a meeting, and I was like, I'm going to go. I haven't been to one in a while. And it was at 7:30 in the morning in Arvada. When I got there, I was a wreck. I'm like, this is crazy driving on this highway,
Yeah.
It's like bumper cars, the Autobahn, and Talladega Nights all in one.
Yep.
And so I'm like, man, I felt guilty and convicted because I used to expect my guys who would get into the office 7 o'clock to be ready to go. And I'm like, how in the world could they possibly be in their best if they just had to fight all of that? And it's a fight. Your body learns to deal with trauma responses, but it still is, you don't know. And then you expect them to go. I would rather them come in, sit down, and get you your cup of coffee. Don't abuse it, but now I would let them abuse it. Come into your space because you're going to be a better person for our clients, for you, for your family.
Just some empathy for what they just went through.
Empathy is a good word. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think enough empathy is given to people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not making them soft. It's just like, I see, I feel you. I just drove through that also. And if a person's late, good for you to know. If you're ever late, just say, sorry, I'm late. Thanks for waiting. What did I miss? Nobody intentionally. Now, if you're late every day, somebody might have that conversation, but life happens in this world. And unless you have 45 minutes to give on each side, which most people don't, there's going to be that, and I know there's time I know all that, but my golly, if we can't give each other a break on these things, you can't make it to the, I get it. I was in groups like that where it was like 7:15. You went, I don't need another accountability partner. I won't do this. You're not my dad.
Let's see what we can accomplish today.
Thanks for waiting.
Yep.
What did I miss?
Yep. I love that.
Just little things that I've learned. I try to share that with the young kids.
Yeah.
Water always finds its way.
Mm-hmm.
It will always find its way. It's soft, but it finds its way in every turn. People just don't stop to be kind to each other. Not saying not everybody, but if we each practice just a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I know before we wrap it up, I know Buddy has usually some questions.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets?
Regrets. Yeah. Couple, I don't know if it's a regret, but that I would do differently as a father is, and I'll just use Cross because you know him better than all of them. I always told him how good he was with numbers and math and all that because he's really good with it. So I planted seeds in him as a real young kid that he wanted to be an engineer. And as he's grown up, he still thinks it's math. It's math. And I believe everything starts with math and ends with math. I can figure it out with math. But I was conditioning his mind unknowingly and not in the best way possible to make him look for, excuse me, to think that was his path in life. His college was all about coding and math. I'm like, I don't see you, son, sitting in a cubicle. I just can't see you. So you might want to rethink what you're doing. And if you want to, great, we'll keep going. And I said, Dad, I wanted a break from school.
Wow.
Because, so that's, I don't know if that's a regret or a reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And my other one is I regret that I haven't tried hard enough to repair the relationships from my extended family to bring everybody together. If I could go back and not let it get to where it is today, well, it's not overly critical. It's still critical, in my opinion, to a level. I would have stepped in and fallen on my sword one more time to keep everybody
For the
closer together.
benefit of the family.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I would have done that. I would have. I've always been the peacemaker,
Hmm.
and I chose not to be, and nobody stepped into that void in a
Hmm.
way to do it, and I didn't realize how much of the glue I was. And then before I realized it, I looked up. I'm like, oh, I won't use the words. This is out of control. How do I put this genie back in the bottle?
Hmm.
So that's probably my biggest regret.
Hmm.
And but yeah, so just a reflection on with Cross, I conditioned him the whole time. You're good at math. You're good at math. You really, you know, and
Be
he
an engineer,
is.
engineer.
You know,
And then it's
and then I'm looking like, yeah, geez, that sounds cool, but
is that even what you want?
is that what you want? You shouldn't know what you want at 21 years old.
Right. You just go
I'm
try some
56.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Break.
What is your opinion on college?
Somebody else is going to pay for it. It can be a great thing. You get a chance to grow up, extend growing up. If you don't go into debt, or nobody's going into debt, it can be better for you.
Hmm.
Do I believe you can gain from college? Sure, but when you do the math, it's because of how they're paying college students now, and it's only going to get worse with all the federal layoffs. Those people already have degrees of work experience. They're going to be competing with recent graduates with work experience and more degrees. So I don't know how that's going to work, but you come out of, let's just say a kid is making $40,000 a year and he doesn't go to college. So he's at $160,000.
Student debt.
Or, well, he's earned $160,000.
Oh, he's earned
Now,
it.
the
Okay.
other one's got student debt of $150,000. And then they come out and they're earning for $50,000 or $10,000 more, which is 25% more, right? For a college degree. So in order to catch up to this $160,000 these people have done, they're going to have to work for 16 years just for the delta. 10 times 16, 160, 160. That doesn't include any of this payback. And every year this person is going ahead of them. Now, if you could go into a field that you're going to be able to charge $400 an hour, you know, or you're willing to
Doctor,
do
lawyer, whatever
something like
it is.
that.
Yep.
College makes a little bit more sense financially. College, to me, when Frankie went, Cross went, Fabrizio went, Benny didn't want to go. Benny did not want to go. She's just like, I don't want to go. I want a big girl job. I want to do this. And she did well in school, too. She just didn't want to go to college. And I say the boys were having fun in college. Well, dad's paying the bills to live the bachelor lifestyle. Well, why not? Give her heck, you know? When Frankie went, he went to play baseball and to grow up. I was like, I know learning and all those things, but it was a chance for them to grow up a little bit more. Chance for them. And I want to cross them Fabrizio to go to get away from their mama. Go away from your mama just a little bit. You got to learn to live without you. I didn't want to give up my girl, but the boys are sacrificial to me. I'll tell you that. You didn't give up your girl, Dad. Yeah. So college, it sounds like it sits on the fence. I'm not. It's not for everybody, and it's not the determiner of success of what it was. Well, my dad went to college back in 1940 or whatever, because he was one of the rich kids, and not everybody went to college. Right
It's a
now,
luxury.
it was, that's
Yeah.
where the people sent their kids. Now everybody goes to college because they think it's the next step.
It's the golden ticket.
Yeah, and it's it's just a natural progression, and they made it unaffordable for the masses, and we're putting all of our children. Somebody's going into debt most of the time. Somebody is going into debt or not using their money for other things that could be more beneficial to the family, for their family to build their own internal. If you spend $150,000 on college, you could put a nice down payment on 3 houses, and you can set all of them up. I'm not saying that's the key to everything, but
I agree.
you want them to learn. But if you instill lifelong learning in them from young, and you as a parent are leading that way, and have real discussions. We have political discussions about macro and microeconomics, and our discussion last night was about the economic blackout day.
Right. That's Friday or something. Yeah.
I said, so all these people who blacked out all these companies, what happens to a shift worker when they don't have business? I said, they get sent
Layoffs.
home. Yeah, or just for the day. They get sent home for the day.
True.
I said, now that person who needed that 8 hours only got 2 hours, so now they're 6 hours short at $20 an hour. That's their light bill for the month. So if you think you're going to hurt somebody who has billions by taking away $100 million from them, it doesn't hurt as much as taking away $120 from a person who's only making $800, $1,000 a week. It's a big difference for these people. And so the kids were learning, we're still learning about macroeconomics. I said, you don't have to pick a side politically, but there's a macro and a microeconomic. So as long as a parent, you have the luxury and the wherewithal to continue educating your children and say your learning's not done. It's an everyday thing. And learn how to, at some point you have to learn how to be a hustler. You have to hustle. You have to hustle. Learn how to sell. Everybody who ever goes on a date has learned how to sell something. You learn how to sell and be a salesman or a woman. Just figure out how to do it. And we've lost a little bit of that. People don't hustle anymore. They're not.
That skill is not utilized enough. Yeah.
If I was broke, I'd go buy breakfast burritos from Santiago's. I'd go buy 20 of them in the morning. I'd work out a deal with them, tell them to give them to me for $2. And I'd go to every construction site and sell 100 of them for $4. I'd throw a soda pop or water on there for $2. And I would sell 200 breakfast burritos a morning. I'd make $1,000 every 2 days and call it good. Right? Well, why wouldn't you do that, right?
Wow.
But you'd have to hustle. You'd have to get up and you'd have to go make a deal with this person. You could make them yourself.
Yeah.
But that's going to take a lot of work and all that. When you can go buy and pay somebody else to do that. And I'll
go buy wholesale, sell them retail.
Right.
And then
just show up, right?
Convenience surcharge. Yeah.
So people just need to learn how to hustle. When you say about college, I'm not against college. I think college can be good. But college, for most people, is just a chance for them to grow up to the next level. What they learn there probably doesn't translate into the real world. Like teachers. Is a history teacher typically good at teaching math? Probably not.
Right.
They might, but they expect our students to be good at math, history, science, art, all of it every day of the week.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, you're good at one thing, so let's focus on some of the gifts. And I understand well-rounded, but you know what? With Google, with YouTube, you want to learn something, you can learn it right there. If you have that aptitude, you can learn it right there.
I think we should turn the way we learn in school on its head.
Absolutely.
Let's figure it out. I think
going to
there's a
turn
better
on.
way.
It's going to turn on its head.
You think so?
Absolutely. I think parents, to send your kid to public school costs you a fortune.
Right.
On top of your taxes, right? Like, there's a $50 a month technology fee. Oh, and then to play baseball, it's $150. And then to park there, it's $75 a year. And then you have a science fee, and you have a breathing fee, and then you have a toilet paper fee, and you have a this fee, and a this fee, and a this. Oh, and by the way, you treat me like I'm ignorant and my kid's a bad kid because he doesn't agree with you. And now he can't play basketball because he doesn't really like math, but he has to take math. And if I don't send him to school because I don't agree with you, I'm going to jail. Just think about all these things that these kids and the parents have to do. So parents are going to revolt. Parents are going to say, enough is enough. And it's not about vouchers. I'm not a voucher fan or whatever. But they're going to say, enough is enough. You can only feed to death, be a person to death so long. And then we're dead. How many... My granddaughter starts school next year. It's $40 a month to ride the bus. So that's one kid. And when my other granddaughter gets into school, so now he's got $80 a month for the kids to go to school. So now he's thinking to himself, so it's going to cost me $80, $1,000 a year or whatever, maybe $900, whatever. Maybe for that same money, maybe I drive him to a different school that has a different economic outcome than yours in my neighborhood. So I'm no longer going to blossom where I'm planted. If it's costing me anyway, I'm going to get the best value for my buck. And now that school, because of it, that's 2 less students. $15,000 a year that they get less. It's $30,000. That's a partial staff payment or whatever.
Sure.
So it's going to blow itself up. And we can have that discussion at another time with it. And I'm not saying wrong or right. I'm just
this is just
the
what's going to
education
happen.
system doesn't work as it is. It doesn't mean our teachers are bad. Doesn't mean they're good. It just how much more can parents afford on the outside? Right. I was fortunate. I was able to pay for 3 laptops for the kids. I was fortunate to keep them in clothes that were in style so they weren't teased or outcast on. I was fortunate enough to pay for a band to go on band trip to Boston and New York, right? But you look at that. So we spent $5,000 for Fabrizio to go on a band trip. Okay, I had it. They could fundraise if they wanted. Blah blah blah. It'd be hard to fundraise $5,000.
Yeah.
If you can get your friends to spend $5,000, but you just have them write you the check type thing. You just, yeah, I can go get them to do that, but then I'm gonna have to give them $5,000, right? If they give me 100, I got to give them 100. It just doesn't make sense, but that's okay. So, but then when the kids are there, we paid for it. They paid for their own, but they're treated like criminals, right? You can't do this. You can't do that. My buddy could probably attest more. You were exasperated in high school. Yeah. Right? These teachers just beat on you. They didn't treat you like a young man. They want you to be a young man, but you're not a young man. Well, what is it? Do you want me to be an adult? I have to ask you to go pee, and in 3 months I graduate, and I'm going to the Army, my friend. But you're saying I'm not coming out of high school ready to be a man. Well, allow me to tell you I have to go to the bathroom, and I'm going.
Right.
No, you can only go one time a semester without, really? But you want you to be an adult. Just if you stop and just see how the lack of this is, and they want to tell their parents, us parents, that we're wrong on everything. Yeah, and some parents are not there, but parents are just tired of being bleeped with the whole time. We're just tired. Yeah. Everywhere we go, on everything we do. You go into driver's license, somebody's trying to be your boss. Somebody, I don't send my kids for somebody to be their dad or their mom. I send you there to keep them safe and to educate them on what the subject is at hand. Nothing else. If you can't do those two things, where are you at? What else? They have to go within your rules, but some of your rules are just there because somebody made something dumb. Somebody did so. You're like, I really don't like that. I don't know what it is. I'm only here because I have to be here. Yeah. I have to have 5 classes or I can't play basketball or baseball. Why don't you just let me do what I'm going to do? I'm not saying to be out of sorts, but why should you have to have your grades good every week when you qualified for it at the beginning? I get trying to keep their grades up, but these kids are smarter than the teachers. And when I say smarter, teachers know what they know in their classroom. The only time kids get caught is when somebody turns them in or they really blow it. Because these kids, the teacher says, I know what these students are doing. And the kids are like,
yeah, right.
We have 4 lookouts down the corner here. By the time you get to the bathroom where they're vaping, they're already gone. They're 3 classes over type. It's reality.
It is reality.
But if you look, we'll just stand it here if it's okay with you. Our schools, what do schools and jails have in common? They all have a basketball court. They all have cafeteria style eating, right? And they all have those schedules. You do this at this time, this time, this time. How much different is a process of a school from the process of a jail, if you look at it?
We pay for the school.
You pay for the jail too.
That's true.
But yeah, so every jail in America has a basketball hoop.
Yeah.
It has a cafeteria.
Yeah.
Every school in America has a jail or a basketball hoop and a cafeteria. Everyone. You look at any of them. Go to any. Think about Buddy growing up.
That's true. Wow. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
All right. I know I was on a soapbox there, but thanks. This has been great. We'll do it again.
Yeah, that's